whatever it is. But talent will make way for you last.
The winner of the Nigerian Prize for Literature 2024 is Olubunmi Familoni.
Everybody has something in them. You can call it talent, you can call it gifts, whatever it is that you want to call it. Everybody has something in them.
So a few weeks ago, I traveled to Nigeria and I reconnected with an old friend and a former colleague, Olubunmi Ranti Familoni. Now, Olubunmi recently made the headlines by winning the 2024 Nigeria Prize for Literature, which is Africa's most prestigious literary award, with a staggering $100,000 as the prize money. It is one of the top 10 richest literary prizes in the world. But here's the twist. Olubunmi actually holds a degree in mathematics.
Part of anything that I've always had interest in has to be mathematics.
So how did a mathematics degree holder transition from the world of numerical analysis to being a man of written words? What drives a mathematician to become a literary laureate?
The interesting thing about prizes is that when you write honestly, you're bound to win prizes. It doesn't mean because you won the prize, you're better than somebody who was the third. I think as a creative general, you can't avoid competition. They're going to compare your work to somebody's work. That's competition. I never fancied competition.
In this candid and thought-provoking conversation, Olubunmi shares his journey from solving equations to crafting stories that resonate with readers across the world.
Everybody knows the story of the talents. The guy that they gave one talent, what did he went to bury the talent? What happened when the guy came back? He took it back from him now. That's how talents work. You don't have it again. So if you don't own it, how is it going to make way for you?
Join us as we dive into the mind of a man who defies convention, blending logic and creativity to leave an indelible mark in the literary world.
By 2012, I had won one prize. Then that book won a prize. Then the next book was in 2019. That one also won the Anna Prize as well. I finally published a play. That also won Anna Prize for drama.
This is the story of Olubunmi Familoni on how I got here.
Welcome. This is slightly different from what I've been doing as regards this particular content in terms of telling people's story. So basically how I got here is, just looking at people who are trailblazers. We consider them as trailblazers in a community whereby they've done something remarkable, and how can they inspire other people as well. This is Ranti. He won a very prestigious, probably the largest prestigious prize in literature.
Biggest literature prize
out of Africa. Exactly. The biggest literature prize out of Africa. So I think that is highly commendable, and not to brag, we were colleagues for several years, so definitely that is something that I think I really need to tell, or we should tell your story on. You worked on radio.
Yeah.
I think we were 2 years into working together at a radio station when I knew you studied mathematics, and I was like, that's strange.
Everybody used to be surprised. Like with literature, it doesn't necessarily have to be about your discipline or whatever it is that you had studied in school, or whatever. It comes from whatever you have taken in. Most times reading. Yeah, it comes from all of that. Then also you honing the craft.
All my knowledge of you has always been literature based. You worked on radio, that is a form of art.
You
used to write some radio drama for us on radio. If you still remember, times, yes. Then we started the kind of breakfast show content on the radio at the radio station, the barber shop, and it was a very good flagship content for the radio station because it was a new radio station then, and they're looking for the flagship content to put on digital platforms, and we felt like YouTube was going to be that platform that could support the radio station. So the flagship content was the barber shop, and the idea was to have three gentlemen talk about kind of regular conversations that are pop culture conversations that people will have in a barber shop. So we had all of that on the radio, and you had a few books that I read one of your books. I think there was one you wrote.
Oh really? You read one of Smithereens of Death.
Exactly. I read that when you were I read that, and you also won a prize on another book you wrote as well. So what was the journey like for you? Finishing mathematics and studying mathematics, having a BS in mathematics and going to literature or going to the creative space and finding your path in radio and in literature. What was it like for you? Or what was the journey like for you?
I don't know. It wasn't much of people might look at it that there was some kind of pivoting. You get that, because with math you're dealing with figures and all of that, then you just have to pivot to dealing with letters. Basically you're writing stories, you're writing plays, but it's not much of a pivoting or even transitioning or anything. But first of all, let's start with mathematics. I think out of anything that I could have studied, or out of anything that I've always had interest in, has to be mathematics. Like that's what has always come easy. What had always come easy for me. That I was like, let me just do something that is soft, so I won't even stress myself. Like I can basically be solving all these. Like I know I have the head for it. Sometimes I even think of it that if not for how the educational system is in Nigeria, like I was so confident about my abilities that I'm sure if I had schooled abroad, I would have had like a first class in mathematics. Probably had going to do a master's and a PhD and all that. It's a subject that's always been like really easy for me. It trains you to have an analytical mind, a very analytical, because the things that you are dealing with, they are not things that you just read and then the answer is just clear. So there are things that your mind has to break down a lot of things. That's why you see people who study mathematics that they can basically do anything. You get, the Simpsons.
Yes.
The Simpsons is a very elite show. It's well written. It's one of the top shows. Yeah, it's animation, but it's not for children. So I found out that most of the writers, I think about 70% or 80% of the writers are actually mathematicians. Yeah, interestingly. So that just goes to show you that there's that connection with mathematics and writing. So it's just that analytical thing. So most of them are not even just mathematicians. There are a bunch of them that have PhDs, and then there are a bunch of them that are professors of mathematics as well. So if you watch The Simpsons, sometimes for people that are not, math inclined, they won't notice some things. There are some hints. Like maybe like when Bart is writing on the board or something, there are some equations that you see that only if you studied math that you know that this is some serious equation from numerical analysis or something. So those writers are able to function on that level because of how the subject has trained their mind. So it just basically gives you a top-notch mind. So that's why I said it wasn't really a pivoting that you finished studying this and then you now went to this. So even before all of that, when I was a kid, I'd been reading a whole lot. So that also improves your mind as well. It's not like I didn't used to play, but I don't even like school books. You get like that. So most of what I used to read was storybooks, novels, and so I was reading novels that were even more advanced than my years. I can't remember how old I was, but I know I was very young by the time I'd read something like Tolstoy's Peace and War, something like Dostoevsky's. You get books. Those books I'm talking about, like 800, 900 pages. It looks like you read Alex Haley's Roots and all of that at a very young age, maybe like 10 or something. So I think reading early and reading a whole lot as well. So reading early, reading a whole lot, and then reading quality, works as well as some of the things that kind of introduced me. So at that time, of course, I wasn't writing anything. I didn't know I was doing right. I was just consuming a whole lot because I was interested in reading. The writing part came very, very, very later. I'm trying to, of course. So you sit down, you have read a whole lot of these things, and you're thinking that you can do this as well. So I think that's exactly you know when it is that thing just hits you, when that realization hits you that you can do this as well. Maybe one day you're just chilling and then you just write like a story, you write write a few lines and so that's how it was, that's how I started from. And that was like about, let me see, like 04, 05, that was like the first time, not professionally, because there's writing and then there's when you start writing professionally. For me, the phases are even, when you start writing. When I started writing, that was just scribbling stuff that I wasn't taking anything. Then when I now started taking my writing seriously, so that's like another few years after that. I think that should be about maybe like between 07 and 2010. Then when I now started doing it professionally. Now, talking about professional, that's when you now start getting published. Not necessarily with books, maybe in like journals, and things like that. So by 2011, that was happening for me. By 2012, I had won one prize. So you can say one End the Story prize. I think that was like the first prize ever that I got a BlackBerry playbook. I mean, it was crazy. It was thousands of people that had sent in entries for that prize in 2012. So like I was like, and of course, that means you are good. When you win that kind of prize, it means like you're really good. Because I was never a prize person. When I started, I never really, because I feel more this competition of, then again, the fact that these guys are judges, they are human. These judges are human, and their judgment is definitely going to be subjective. It doesn't mean because you won the prize, you're better than somebody who was the third or fourth. It's just what they perceive. But you're definitely one of the best. Your work is top shelf. and all. So that kind of gave me that confidence, boosted my confidence as well. So there was one guy that hit me up. He's like a big screenwriter here in Nigeria. So Afrinoli, Afrinoli now, they used to have this partnership with MTN to put films on mobile phones and all of that. So they had this workshop, screenwriters workshop with Ford Foundation. Ford Foundation was funding it. So the guy, shout out to Femi Karade, by the way, one of the top screenwriters in Nigeria. So he had seen my work as well, and he was very impressed. So he reached out to me. And I was like, "Oh my guy, I'm gathering writers for this screenwriters workshop." Well, that was 2014. Will you be interested? And as I don't write screenplays. It's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally different.
So I was just basically writing short stories. Yeah. Screenwriting is a different ballgame. Even writing plays also is a different ball. So all these things are different. Yeah. You can't just conflate everything and say that you can write, you get everything, but the forms that you use to, the way you write them are actually different. So I looked at it that I've tried to write a play. So I understand playwriting. I've read a lot of plays as well. So I was very familiar with drama. But I've never tried screenwriting. Yeah, I was like, that I should not worry. I should never be saying those kind of things. And that's something that I also learned as well. Don't say you can't do something until you try. Yeah, that was something, that was a lesson that thing taught me. He just said it, that how can you say you've not done? Have you ever tried? I thought about it. It's true. Never tried this thing though. And without ever writing a screenplay, he picked me for that workshop. I'm talking about a workshop with some of the top screenwriters in Nigeria, people that had written films. So the head writer of Tinsel at the time, Tunde Aladeshe, was there. There were a bunch of other top screenwriters. So, and me, definitely one thing that will never happen to me, I never feel intimidated. Like I'm very self-confident.
Say you owe your side.
Sure if you like, be Bill Gates. Like, you understand. So with anything you get, whether with material stuff or with intellectual stuff or whatever, if you like, be a professor. Like, man, we'll talk. We'll sit down and talk. Like, I'm there. So I got in there and everybody saw how confident I was. Like, this guy will never write anything. I didn't even have that book that you're talking about at the time. That book came out in 2015. So I was just like fresh out. Like, I didn't have anything at all. Everybody was like, "Who this guy?" But I got there and I basically wowed all of them. Like, this guy is a bad guy. So what we were supposed to do at the workshop was create so the project that Ford Foundation and Afrinoli were doing was Cinema for Change. So they were making some social justice short films, towards social justice and social political stuff that they were going to show in film festivals across the world. So they wanted these writers to create some of them. Funny enough, it's not everybody's short film that they picked, but they picked mine. They picked my screenplay to be made into a short film. I wrote it in English, but it was in Yoruba. Eventually, so that's something else that really wowed them as well. So when I was writing it in my head, I was actually writing in Yoruba, even though it was in English, because of course I can't write Yoruba. Do you understand? But when you read the screenplay, you know that this thing is real. It's kind of like what Chinua Achebeji with Things Fall Apart. Yeah. When you read Things Fall Apart, you're reading it in English, but you can tell. Yes, you can hear it. For an Igbo person, you can hear it in Igbo. And in many interviews, that's exactly what Chinua had said as well. That it was written in English. I can't remember how he framed it, but that's exactly what it was. It was written in English, but you're hearing it, you're reading it in Igbo. Of course, if you're an Igbo person or you're familiar with the language. So that's what I did with that screenplay, and they really loved it. I think of all the film festivals, I think the only one that it got screened at was at the Durban International Film Festival. So they just spread all the films around. So that was my big plunge into big time writing and all. And after that, I now started writing plays as well. Because 2015, I wrote one play that got chosen by British Council for the Lagos Theatre Festival. Those were even the early days of Lagos Theatre Festival. So it was one of the plays. And when that play showed, as when it got shown at Lagos Theatre Festival, they told me, the producer was Kemi Lala. Akintoju. She told me, Kemi Lala was the producer, and she also directed it as well. Linda Ejiofor was the main character. And she told me that, this is your play. Like, this is the one that everybody is coming. So she was very impressed. Then also Brenda, the creative director of Lagos Theatre Festival too, was very impressed. After that, she was giving me all these projects, all these plays to work on that got staged in different places, and all of that. Then that book that you talked about.
Okay, Smith
now came. The publisher that published it too was like very impressed with my writing. I was like, how far? Say you go, do you understand? I was like, of course. Now let's put out the book now. Yeah, that's how that book came out. And the year that it came out, like you said, he won the prize. He won the Association of Nigerian Authors. Yeah, which Achebe, of course, was being one of the founding fathers. Yeah. So he won the prize for short stories. That's the Anna Prize for short stories. That's when I knew that I'm like, yeah, it's real. It's real out here. That so like now, and I'm like, okay, established. Yeah, now like a really serious writer. Then I think the next book was in 2019. That was a children's book. That was the first children's novel. That one also won that Anna Prize as well. Yeah, for children's literature.
Man, you've won quite a lot of prizes.
Yeah, like all the books that they have actually.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I just clicked to me now. Like your books have actually won prizes.
Then a play. I finally published a play.
Okay.
Yeah. When Big Masquerades danced naked.
Yes, I know that.
That one. That was 2023. That one is very early. That one also won Anna Prize for drama.
Wow.
Then it was longlisted for this Nigeria prize that I won. Again. So in 2023 it was longlisted. Then the book that I now wrote in 2024 is now the one that won.
That's The Road Does Not End. So it's a children's book.
Yeah, it's a children's novel. So this one is for like preteens and teenagers. So it's more of like a children's novel. Or you can say maybe young adults novel.
So when you're writing a children's novel, how do you get into the mind of a child?
I don't think it's about memory. Yeah, for me, first of all, I'm very intrigued by children. Yeah, how they think, how they talk, because they don't think and talk like adults. They have they're in a different world entirely, of course, because of their age. They've not reached that. I won't call it the age of innocence, like people say, but they've not seen as much as adults have. So their minds are still kind of pristine. They still see things, from different perspectives as adults. So one thing that I've always done, of course, is when there are children around, whatever it is that they're doing, I always observe, pay attention to the way they talk, pay attention to whatever it is that they're doing. They're very interesting. Things. When you see shows like Kids Say the Darndest Things, there are a lot of things that you learn. I mean, you'll say some things and you'll be like, how are you thinking about it? So those kind of shows, you get that. It helps you get into the minds of children, the very interesting minds of children. And something else also is, if you read, there's a lot in literature, even adult literature, where children are the narrators. So child narrators. You get the first person narrators, children. There are a lot of them. Now, for me, those are some of my favorite works. One of the most popular, Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn. People that read Tom Sawyer. Those were kids. When you hear the way they talk, the way they think, the way they play, it was William Golding's Lord of the Flies. It was basically children as well. J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye. It was a child narrator as well. So their mental well-being. There are just a whole lot of things that you learn. Also, apart from studying children, observing them, from reading literature, where where in the books or in the stories, the narrators, the first-person narrators, are actually children. So those are, like I said, those are my favorite. Then also, even in my writing as well, I write a lot of, even apart from writing children's literature, even in the other kind of fiction that I write a lot of fiction where children are involved, where children are the narrators, and even if they are not the narrators, but they are main characters, as well, where children are main characters. So I'm all, like I said, when I started, very intrigued by children and how they think. So it was very easy for me. When you read the book, people that read the book, they say that they're always very how you're not a child. Are you sure it's not a child?
Exactly.
How? Even the judges, also, as part of their comments, their remarks, they also mentioned that as well. That this is exactly these are children. It's not an adult. There are some books now. I also have to mention that, and I think that's also a problem with children literature in Nigeria, or maybe not Nigeria, maybe generally. There are some books that you read, you can tell these are adults that wrote it. Some children's book. You get the way. This is not how this is not how a child talks. This is not how a child behaves. So the person has not been able to get into the mind of a child, and that's a problem. So you can't, it's not honest. You can't take that kind of thing seriously. So like I said, for me, it was easy because of all these other things.
So talking about winning the prize, that's, once again, the biggest literature prize out of Africa. did you write the book for that prize? Were
I'm
you
talking about
aiming
asking.
for that prize that I'm going to, like, you've looked at, you've analyzed, and you're like, okay, you know what? I think you had, okay, like you said, you had been longlisted for that prize before, the
for
previous
drama.
year for drama. So do you now say, okay, this time around, this is the category I'll go for, and I'll ensure I'm writing this book? Like, were you targeting it, or you wrote it and it so happened that you submitted it for that prize and you won it? So what was it like for you winning that prize?
Now, if you remember, when I started, I said initially when I started writing, I didn't like prizes.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think as a writer, or maybe let me say as a creative, I don't know about other people, but I think as a creative general, you can't avoid competition. Yeah, and I'm not talking about like maybe like competitions like where that are structured that people, but you can't avoid competition. They're going to compare your work to somebody's work. That's competition. Yeah, comparisons are competition. They're going to compare your work to somebody's work. That this guy, there are some, whether it's about similarities, whether it's about is almost better, or this guy is better than that. So there's always going to be that competition. Happening. So you can't now escape it, in the structured sense as well. But like I said, I'd always had that mindset. I never fancied competition. I think all the competitions, even, and I'm not even fronting, all the competitions that I've entered, is people that have encouraged me to enter. Even up until now, it's people that have, like this one now is my publisher that I'll send in the book. Yeah, left to me, I'll just write the book and let people just enjoy it. Let them read it. Let there be reviews, and all of that. But as far as prizes go, so I've always had that mentality. So definitely you can't say that, this guy wrote for this prize. And yeah, there are writers that write for prizes. So that's why I said that's like a good question, really, because there are writers that will be like, this prize, they're giving out this money like this year. I'm going to write one book that is going to win this prize or be on the shortlist or something. But no, for me, I just want to tell a story. I want people to feel that story. I want them to enjoy that story. Now, the interesting thing about prizes is that when you write honestly, you're bound to win prizes. I still said this somewhere, in one forum recently. So that's the problem. Most of the time, if you are writing for prizes, that's when you might not even win that prize because now you're focused on the prize. You're not focused on your craft.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not focused on your craft. You're looking at the prize that this prize, I go win this prize. I don't know about any other thing though, maybe tech or whatever, but literature doesn't work like that. Literature is like, it's from inside, like it's from the heart. So your focus is supposed to be on what you're writing and wherever it is the inspiration is from. But if your inspiration is the prize, which most times is also money that is attached to it, so that means you're writing for money. But that's the thing, when you're writing honestly like that, and then it gets to the hands of the judges, they see that honesty, they see that heart that you're putting in it, and then it wins the prize. That's what I said when they said, how do you do it? You have just been winning prizes all your books. I said, that's the formula. I'm telling you, like that. If you are going to start writing, and this for people that just want to start writing or they start writing, don't look at the prize. I told you that I've always had that mentality that I never liked prizes. I was never really interested in prizes. I think that's something that has helped me. So a prize has never been my focus. When I sit down and write, I'm writing for art's sake. I'm writing for the people that are going to read. Then somebody's going to be like, this guy, send this thing in for this prize now. One first one that I said I won 2012. It was one of my friends. I said, this guy enter this thing now. Say go. I'm like, man, this guy, me, I don't. And that was like even the first time that I was going to enter any prize. I said, and with that one, I even thought out like, me, I don't write for this. I was like, okay, just try. Man, I tried and I won. So that's just the formula. Write honestly. Don't write with the prize in focus. Really.
So when you're writing, I mean, I have not. In fact, I used to say that out of all the three forms of media content, audio, visual, and articles. I think articles, I love to read, but writing is not exactly. So I love to read, especially autobiographies, and I love to watch and listen to people's stories. That's why I love documentaries exactly a lot. When it comes to writing, I don't know. Of course, part of my job is copywriting, so I have to write for social media and stuff like that, which is something I enjoy doing. But when it comes to like writing articles, long form, I'm like, oh no, please. So when you're writing, how do you start from the beginning? Some people probably just have so many manuscripts up and then they just start piecing them together. Like, how do you get to it? First of all, how do you write? Then you cannot talk about how you get to inspiration when you're writing as well. So how do you gather your materials together when you're writing?
First of all, that thing that you're saying about not being able to write or no one is right. Yeah, I think that's even honest. I think that's like, because not everybody can be writer. We can't all be writers. That's the thing about writing. When you think about, there are a bunch of people that have encouraged, be like, I see maybe their tweets, or I see something and now you make a good writer, or maybe like what you're chatting and conversations. I'm like, you have the makings of a writer. Yeah, they eventually turn out to be like really, really good writers, and they had never like written anything serious, long form or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so that's it. Not all of us can be writers, but there are some people that have it in them that have never explored it, that have never used it. But there are some people that don't have it and then they are trying to write. Don't force it. You're probably good at something else. Just like you said, those other two, I'm sure you're probably very good at. So just face something. Don't soil yourself trying to be a writer or whatever. Now to what you said about the process, like I always say, for me it comes easy, and I think I'm very grateful for that as well. Just like what I said with mathematics, this one also it comes really, really easy for me. So the first thing that happens is you have the idea. Now and I always say it is the hardest part. You get, like, and I think for anything, maybe you want to start a company or whatever, thinking of what you're going to do is always the hardest part. So for writing, you sitting down and thinking, some people spend months doing that. Sometimes you have to travel. I think it was J.K. Rowling, that's Harry Potter. Yes. She has to go to the woods or something. Even though I think that's extreme. Don't kill yourself. You can be in your house, or something. But any writer would tell you for a fact that that's like the hardest part. Trying to conceptualize whatever it is that you want to write. So you're thinking, you can spend months doing that and not writing. That's why sometimes you see people that they'll be like, this guy, you say you're a writer, you've not written anything. But he's actually working. His mind is working. His mind is working. He's thinking, okay, how am I going to approach this? By the time you have that part get done, when you have that part sorted, the rest is easy. The rest is solved. At least for me, the rest is easy. So now you have the story, you have the entire story in your head. You've probably written it out. Sometimes they come to people in dreams. Stories come to people in dreams, whatever. You still have that job of putting it together. So you put it together in your head, you put it down, and then you're looking at it. So for me, what usually happens, I think that's something else that a lot of writers also do, is that then you now plot it out. So you just don't start writing. Just write it. I don't think you are very serious if you do that. So you plot it out. Some people have is it mood boards, they call those, vision board.
Okay, vision board.
Where you put the board and then you're putting. A lot of screenwriters do that. So they're putting scene by scene, break out scene one, breakdown, like that. Then even people that are not screenwriters, that write stories, they also do that as well. So I break it down. I have the entire plot broken down, chapter by chapter. Then you now get to the actual writing. What I type in is longhand. As well, and that's the easy part. At least for me, I know people complain about it, but for me, that's the easy part. I think maybe because I've read a whole lot, and also maybe because I've been writing a whole lot too. That thing that they say about practice makes perfect. All these things they might sound like cliches, but they're actually true. When you're practicing something when you get to a certain age or a certain point, it becomes like really easy for you. It's almost kind of like you're doing it by rote. So that's basically what happens with me. But by the time I actually start writing, like this book, another question that people ask is that, okay, so how long did it take for you? I would say it took me like 2 weeks.
It's a lie.
I think even less.
Really?
Yeah. That's the actual writing. Do you understand? So that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
The actual writing is the easy part. Because that actual writing is even, you're just typing. But I can understand why it might be hard for some people. Is that so the words that you're going to use, I'm talking about like you writing hundreds of thousands of words. So the words that you're going to use, how many pages? I think it was about, of course, 100 and something pages. Some people writing 200, 300. So imagine how many words that you have to use. But for me, words come easy for me. So I think that's why, it's easy for me. So the hard part, like I said, has to be that conceptualization. You're thinking, how am I going to take this story? How am I going to twist it? What's the twist going to be? Like you said, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So you start from the beginning. You're like, oh, how is it going to? You're not even thinking about how is it going to end at that point. You're just thinking, what is this story going to be about? In that book now, about a boy that lost his parents. Okay, then what happened to him? Okay, he went to live with his wicked auntie. Okay, so I think we have what I'll call a frame, for the story. Then you break that frame down.
Yeah, I think it
into-
actually highlights the story of
Yeah.
that story. Exactly, because what you wrote is actually like relatable, especially in this community, in this environment. So, but now reading your own novel, I mean, it's definitely, it felt like you were into the mind of a child. So, what inspired a particular frame of story?
Very recently was a particular one. There was a particular boy that I had seen. There was one neighborhood here that I used to go to. So there was a particular boy I see, and his story was devastating. So that's why I said that one that I just mentioned about all those children. Then again, out of school children as well. That's something else I also looked at. That's on the surface, but beneath the surface, it was this boy. That was even like the dedication in the book of Fayemiro.
Okay.
So like this. So his mom had him definitely out of marriage, and we know there are many of these kind of stories. And then she came and dumped, and that's the word that I use, dumped him with his grandmother in Ibadan, and then she's living her life in Lagos. Yeah, maybe for economic reasons or for whatever, she can't raise him, or whatever, or she just wants to get on with her life because she did not want that child. But now you have foisted it on an old woman who hardly can even take care of herself. Yeah, whether financially, whether physically, even psychologically as well, to raise a child. So you definitely know that there's not going to be any kind of raising, with that child. So you see that boy, he's like all over the place, and you can see. So I've been going to that area for years now, and I've seen the progression of how that boy is growing into like a street dog. Yeah, literally. So sometimes you think about it, how are these? You see area boys, how are they made? That they were not born. You get like that. Nobody is born an area boy. So I saw it in real time, how it progressed. You get that boy. At some point, he had to stop going to school. Maybe they could not afford it to get whatever. So he was always everywhere on the streets. There are sometimes that they'll just say that, like, we're here now. They'll be like, oh, that they saw him in 1 year. They had to bring him all the way back. That sometimes maybe he's police. He slept in police station. They brought. He's someone that is like 8 or 9. Police had to bring him back. Where do you live? Sometimes they'll say that they saw him begging at some parties, which also happened in that book. As well. There was one time they brought him, the men in the neighborhood, they were beating him, and I'm like, what's this one going to solve? Like, it's not going to solve anything. And I think that's also a societal problem as well. It's a problem with our society. Now, in other societies, in Western societies, they have, I know we have it in Nigeria, but it's not functional. Things like social work, where or child services or social services, whatever it is that they call it in different Western countries, where they cater for the children, that can't be catered for by their parents or their guardians or whatever. So they become the government's, I won't say property, but the government's responsibility. I think we have a semblance of that in Nigeria, but of course it's not functional, it's not working. Just like with health insurance and many other things that are just there nominally, that you have the name. There are people that are in school, UI or whatever, that are studying social work. But I think, which social work are you doing when you graduate? Like, we don't have, like, it's not functional. Those are the things they're supposed to be doing. You're taking care of those kinds of children. People in neighborhood can go and report to social services. There's one guy in our neighborhood, they're not taking care of him well. You guys come and take it. And that's what they do. They take him, maybe send him maybe to a foster home or something, or there are homes that they also have for this. It's not as if in those homes is also optimal, what will I call it now, environment or whatever. But it's definitely going to be better in relation to wherever it is that they are coming from. So I just looked at that boy and it was like, doesn't look like there's any hope for this. And there are many of those kinds of hopeless situations. So that's what inspired me. But the twist that I now did with my own book was I didn't want to make it hopeless, because I know a lot of children are going to read. Because if you read it, you see that the boy he became a star. He was interested in Fuji. He was singing. Then somebody that was a manager to a Fuji artist saw him, was interested. So there's also what I was trying to do. Basically, is also to show people that are reading it that it might look like a hopeless situation, and many of them end in that hopelessness. But for many people, there's actually hope. There's actually hope, and also the lesson: just keep persevering, just keep doing whatever good thing that you are doing. Because the boy, he almost got into stealing, almost got into a number of other vices as well, but he always got himself out, and he stayed, a good boy. And that was without his parents And that's also another thing. That it doesn't have to be that it's your parents that are guiding you. You like I can't remember how Yoruba said that Watunra Ebi. Yeah, after number B or Watunra Ebi. So that's basically what the boy did. So for me, it was a book about hope. There's hopelessness out there in the streets. You see these children are like, this guy's never going to make it. And that's not a curse. It's just the kind of environment he is, and then the kind of society, just like I mentioned, that Nigeria also is as well. I mean, not having child services, how is that person going to make it? Not having access to free quality education, where he can say that, okay, because his parents or his grandmother can't afford education, then he'll go to school. So you just look at it that this a totally hopeless situation. But for me, in the book, there was a way I was able to craft it. And that's, I think, what people can also do as well. Because that book, it did not now become the responsibility of the government, but an individual now took it upon himself. That's something else that we can also do as well. Yeah. So you see that person and you're thinking that, oh, it is hopeless, but the government can't do anything about it. You can pitch in. There's something that nobody's saying send the person to school, but there's always something that you can do. So for me, I was just telling a story of hope, really.
No, that's actually another way to look at it. I mean, definitely telling a story of hope. So for you right now, I mean, after winning the prize, are you looking to write more books or going to writing for TV, having more TV credits, or I mean, do you still want to write? Definitely, you still have. I mean, you owe us a lot more books. So you definitely owe us a lot more books, and so we like to go into TV writing. I know you had mentioned something like working with the head writer for Tinsel. You had done something for for screen as well. So what do you plan to go into next? Or I mean, as a writer, don't write more books. Are you now looking to win the Nobel Prize for Literature? I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible. Wale Soyinka won one.
Yeah, of course. Soyinka won. Bessie here. A bunch of people have won. But the writer, they never stops writing. You might say there was one time, and I'll never forget. It was 2017. I think I just got disillusioned and I said, I'm going to stop writing. I'm never writing anything again. Or there was a whole conversation that I had with some other writers. There were things that were said and all, but that's the thing. You want to leave it, but it doesn't leave you. I mean, that year there was still a lot of things that I wrote. 2018, 2019. So I just keep. So you can't, even if you try to, it's not going to leave you. There's always something inside you that you want to get out there. There's always a story that you want to tell. Now about what I'm going to write. You mentioned screenwriting. I tell you that workshop that we had, that was 2014. That was like 11 years from that. So, but after that time, I dabbled a bit into screenwriting. But I don't know. I think of all the forms of writing, and of course, I've written basically in almost every genre. Written basically, I mean, I've written plays. I've written plays. I've written prose. All this short fiction. I write essays. I've written a bunch of essays. I've written poetry, as well. Even though I won't say I'm an active poet. I won't say I'm an active poet, but I've written poetry. Of course, there are elements of poetry in all my other writings as well. In all the other genres I've written poetry. But the thing about screenwriting, I've never really fancied screenwriting. I think the last time that I did was there was one project that someone gave me that I should write 30 episodes. And funny enough, actually I still have those 30 episodes, but them and their people, I don't know what I still have it. But it is that last of course I'll have to sell it or something. But it was me going, I know it was fantastic. So that's the thing. I think screenwriting of all of them, I think is the most tedious. So I've never really. So and of course I don't like anything that makes me exert myself too much like that, especially for little reward. Especially for little reward. But screenwriting is, especially for TV. Then there was one other time too that I got a project. Well, this one that I'm saying also, it should be for TV, but you know how YouTube has kind of become like TV now. So they were going to make it for YouTube. So of course a lot of people are writing also for YouTube. So you can say it's also small screen as well. So just categorize it with TV. So there was one other time that somebody had the person that directed that short film that I wrote, of course, liked it very much. I was like, he got me into like a team of writers to write this series for TV. The series had started, but he wanted more writers. But almost the pressure You get, so that's why almost shout out to people who write for TV. All these series that you are seeing, they are doing hard work. All your favorite series, whether it's Breaking Bad, whether it's Tinsel, whatever it is, and no matter how bad the series is as well, like they're doing hard work, like the pressure. Where's your this thing for this week? You get, where's the, like, you're writing on your toes. Basically, there's a writer's room where ideas are flying all over the place. You know, it's not solitary. You get, like maybe like with prose now, where you're just there writing your novel or with poetry or something. So there's so it's high tension. Yeah, let me just put it that way. In writing for TV is, I don't know, it was just too high tension, and I was like, I don't want this amount of stress in my life. So I think that's kind of out. So, but maybe film.
Okay,
maybe film. I'm a film buff.
Yep.
I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a film buff. I mean, literally seen, and of course you can't see all the films in the world, but see all the good films, like big film buff. So of course, at some point in my life, I'm definitely going to right. Maybe even direct as well.
I think you'll be a good director.
Yeah, people say that.
Yeah, because I'm looking
your
at
mind. Because the thing about directors is the mind.
The mind.
Yeah.
So you have,
they can picture.
exactly. So you have you can picture what you want that scene to look like. So you can. Because one of my favorite writer director collaboration in Nigeria is Akinwale and today
Babalola, yeah.
Those guys, I mean, anytime I see any
really
project, I just love it. If I will before watch it, I'm definitely gonna watch this. And
it's a good. Then again, I think I also like directors that write. Someone like Quentin Tarantino. That's why I respect him so much. So for me, that's even then Spike Lee. As well, John Singleton. So I like those kind of guys. So it's not as if a writer-director collab, is bad or anything. But you're the writer. As you're writing it, you're also picturing it. You get, so like that short film that I said, that's another thing that kind of discouraged me from writing for film or TV or whatever. Is that, when you have written in prose now, or you have written plays, they can't change anything that you have written. Maybe they're just grammatical errors. You spelled this differently and all. That's basically, they can't change the story. A director can change your story. You get. That was one of the things that kind of disappointed me with the screenplay that I wrote. That's for that short film. It's not as if they changed it entirely, but the end. And I looked at it and I was like,
this is not what you
and directors do that a lot. You get, they have that power. They have that autonomy to do that, even without consulting the writer in something. And that's why in many cases you see that some writers just direct their film. This is my film. I'm the one that wrote it. I have the picture. Even for stage as well. That play that I'm saying that I wrote, that Kemi Lala, they too at the end too, they just did some things that when I watch, what did you guys do at the end here? And they will not tell you. You get that, this is what is going to happen. So for me, I think I just like that writer there. They're called auteurs. I like that writer. Sembene was somebody like that as well. Usman Sembene, that they call the father of African cinema. And it was fantastic. And the thing about it is that when you see writer directors, you see their work, some of the best work, some of the highest quality of work. Someone like Sembene and I started as a novelist. He had written a couple of novels before I started making films. When you see those films are like, they are standard in Africa. Usman Sembene's film, Senegalese, they are standard for Africa. That's why they call him father of African cinema. So I want to be that writer. I already have that foundation with writing prose. What I just need to do is learn how to be a director. And I think you can also learn on the job. I know a lot of them do that. It's not bad. I think Tunde Kelani did that. He started as a cinematographer. He was learning on the job, and he's one of the best directors you get out here in Nigeria. I might do that as well. But maybe because I'm not a very social person, that one you have to be on the set. You have to go to a lot of sets, and I'm not talking about 10 sets, hundreds of sets for you to learn. You get to be like so you go don't do AD self well. You don't do DOP. There are many things you are. I don't think. Also, the plan is just go to film school and learn it.
Yes, exactly.
And that's you can do that as well. So these are some of the things you gotta have as plans. And about writing, of course, I'm still writing. I have like a collection of stories. A new collection of stories. I don't want to go into when it comes out, you see the big deal.
So earlier in your conversation, you mentioned honing your skills. I believe your talent. I mean, it's a question that I'll still ask at the end of this film, but do you believe even if you don't write, that talent is still there, or you have to hone your skills for you to be this fantastic to the point whereby all your books have won prize. Do you believe in that process of honing your skill, or even if you don't hone your skill?
No, you have to, because you mentioned something about that you just have the talent, and then you do it, and you're not always going to have it. Everybody knows the story of the talents that were given. The guy that they gave one talent, that's the guy that they gave the small. What did he went to bury the talent? When he buried that, what happened when the guy came back? The master came. He took it back from him now. He took it back from him. So that's basically how. And that's why they say the Bible is like everything that you need in life is basically there. That's how talents work. And if you don't understand that story, let me just illustrate it for you. Is that you have a talent, and there are many people that I know like that, especially people that we started writing like early together, and they were good writers as well. But for whatever reason, maybe life, you have to work 9 to 9 or something. You get, especially in Lagos, you get the hustle and which time you don't get. Which time do you want to write? So 5 years has gone, 10 years has gone, 20 years has gone. You don't have that talent again. You don't have it again. So that's exactly that illustration from the Bible. So in that, in that real life sense, you buried that talent. You get now nobody's saying it's your fault, or whatever. Like I said, you get the hustle and bustle of life. But some people, it's their fault. They're like, they are too lazy, or you get to do any work or whatever. But just to answer that first question, if you notice that you have a talent, or your child has a talent or whatever, you as the parents, it's your responsibility to try and hone it for them, or point them in the right direction, help them along till they get to that age where, of course, they can also hone it. Because really, this life, your talent will make a way for you. Like I say, I'm a very good example. That your talent will make a way for you, no matter how it is. Like we see them around us, whether it's football, whatever it is, your talent will make way for you last. So if you don't hone it, how is it going to make way for you? Because if you don't hone it, then it's going to die. It's going to be that buried talent that gets taken away at the end of it. So first of all, you notice it that I can write. You don't have to be the best writer, you don't have to be good. But that's why I said in the beginning about practice makes perfect. But keep writing. That's one thing I always tell people, especially young people. Keep writing. 10 years. It might take you 10 years to be anything or do anything. 20 years. As long as you're alive, keep doing that thing. Keep holding that talent. So, like you said, about me. Now talking about that's basically what I just did. There are many, just like I said about in that 2017. Imagine if I'd stopped writing in 2017. Like I won't be where I am today. Like let's really be honest. 2017 to maybe like you don't write till maybe about 2024. You're not going to be as good as you were in 2016. You get what you are not going. That's how writing is. Trust me. Even when I've not written maybe for months, when I go back to it's not as if I can't write again, but it's almost kind of like you have to rehone those skills. So imagine leaving it for 2 years or 3 years. So that's the thing. You keep at it. Like you keep at when people are saying that, you've won this prize now, are you going to keep writing? I'm like, wait I want this. Like, am I a footballer? Keep writing. Keep writing now. But when you win prize, so you now I don't understand. You sit down and start staring at the ceiling or what? You keep writing. So that's it. If you don't, that talent is going to get taken away from you. There's no two. That's why I started with that illustration of the story of the talent in the Bible. There's no two ways about it. You're going to lose that talent. You might have another talent, but the sad thing about the guy with one talent, that was the one talent. And some people is that it's just that one talent. Well, thankfully for me, yes, this is also like another illustration of that story for me. Like I was going to say, thankfully for me, I think I have other talents, but I think I've lost them. Like I used to be like, I can say I used to be a great artist. People used to look at the things that I draw and be like,
you used to draw?
People used to look at it and be like, yeah, I'm serious. Like,
really?
Sometimes when I look at those things, and sometimes I think because I know I can't draw jack anymore, so I look at those things and I'm like, wait, let me draw.
Wow.
Do you get? So that was me having more than one talent. So I could write, I could draw, and whatever else. I used to write raps. Well, that's still writing, rapping.
That's still exactly still storytelling.
It's still storytelling. So I don't even call that another talent. But rapping is different.
So rap is reading my poetry.
So I don't feel rap anything again. Just because I didn't follow through with it. That's the thing. I would have become like one of the top rappers or something if I'd followed. So it is whatever it is that you follow through with. So I follow through with writing. So there are many paths. Let's put it that way that were laid before me. So I went with this one.
Literature.
You get, so imagine I'd closed all the paths, then as in you've lost all your talent, and maybe you probably have to now depend on a 9 to 5. You get, you understand what I'm saying? So if you don't hone your skills, you're definitely, they don't need to tell anybody that you're going to lose it. You're definitely going to lose. You can't tell me that you come back 10 years later or 20 years later after. I've seen many people that they can't write anything. They'll just tell you that when I was young, I was a good writer. I used to write. I'm like, yeah, of course you're a good writer, but now you're not going to be able to write it. They know. Then I think another thing, I see a lot of people that studied medicine too, that it happens to. My sister, it happened to her as well. She'd be like a really good writer. When she was out of secondary school, they're 100, 200. But with medicine, by the time you're going to 300, 400, you're going higher, or work is tricky. So that's why I actually have a lot of respect for doctors that still write. They still find time. So something like medicine just chokes that creativity out of you, and then you don't have the talent anymore.
So rounding up, I used to ask people this question. Even when I film an interview, I used to ask them, your journey so far, I think you've kind of answered it, but I'll ask it again. So your journey so far, will you attribute it to luck or hard work? Because people, you said you don't like to write for awards, but you've won, all your works have won awards. So how come? Or is it you just write a lot and your publisher picks up your books and submits them? So will you attribute them to luck? Because I feel like that's an element of luck, whereby you're not writing for awards, but they keep winning awards. Or is it just hard work that has got you this far?
Is it luck or fate? I don't know. It's luck.
Yeah, so it
fate,
depends on how you want to put it.
Okay,
do you want to say fate or grace or how exactly anyhow?
Do you understand? Because that luck, I don't really like that.
I've had people say they don't believe in luck, but they believe in grace.
Yeah,
so how
that luck, I attribute luck mostly to of course that's chance. Yes, luck is chance. Things like the roll of dice. Even though people believe that life is also the roll of the dice. There's a part. There might be a small part that things like luck play. Things like chance, they play as well. I'm not going to rule all of that out. There might be a part that they play. And grace is different from that. Definitely. Grace is more of like a spiritual thing. Grace is more of like a spiritual thing. So there's a bit of that as well. Then there's also a bit, not even a bit, more than a bit of hard work. So anybody that tells you that luck, grace, chance, grace is good. You get people that pray, people that are very spiritual, and grace is good. But even in the Bible, it's there. You get, it's there. Grace, but you're not working. Do you understand? It's dead. What they say about faith without works. Like, so I don't understand. What is the grace going to feed on? Do you get? So what that grace, even the luck itself, for people that believe in luck, what's it going to feed on if you're not working and you're not working hard? There's nothing that's going to feed on. Imagine if this scenario where I'm not writing, you get anything. This book now, they said my publishers are more this year. Let's do children's literature, write this book, and I'm sitting on my hands, I'm not working. Or that's why I now say hard work. Or maybe I write it halfway and I'm like, I'm tired, or this, that. What's grace going to do for me? Or what's luck? There's nothing going, because there's no product for it to work on. So that's why I won't say it's 100%. There's no pastor, there's nobody that's going to tell you 100% grace. No, if they tell you that, they're lying. Even God said, no, will tell you, say, if God is going to do anything for you, it's something that you have done that He's going to work on. That's it. So there's that. However it is you want to share it, whether it's 50-50, whether it's 90-10, whatever, I don't know how it is. So for me, I'll just say it's a combination of both, a combination of all these factors. But one thing that I'll never underemphasize or even underestimate is hard work. Put in the work. If you're not ready to put in the work, sorry, I'm serious. Like, I'm very sorry, like, for you. If you're not ready to put in the work, just I don't know what's going to happen. But hard work. Nobody's saying hard work where you're going to kill yourself or anything. But put in the work. And when we say hard work, we're saying put in the work with your heart. You get, nobody saying work where you're going to be sweating and there's a lot of anxiety and no. That's not what hard work means. Hard work is also like putting your heart, like putting your everything. Put in 100 when you're doing it. Don't be half-hearted or half-assed about it. Hard work, grace, all of those things, but more don't mess with her.
Thank you so much. I believe your story definitely. I just need to say, I just need one person to be inspired from one person's story. I don't need a bunch of people, just one person. And once again, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very
yeah,
much.
we are now gunning for the Nobel Prize. For
Everybody's saying that. I hope you guys know how big the Nobel. That's the biggest prize in the world.
That's
big. But that's also there's nothing that can't happen.
There's nothing.
It's life. There's nothing that can't happen. And me, just like I said about work, I'm not stopping work. I'm still putting in work. So
thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Peace out.
And that's it, guys, on this special episode of How I Got Here, where we continue to share stories that inform, inspire, and educate. Do not forget to smash the subscribe button, like our video, share our video, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. Until the very next episode, do not forget to stay safe. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.